What is good, YouTube, and welcome back to another 7 Nights Rebirth video. And today we're going to talk about something that a lot of you guys have requested in the comment section and also in my Discord, which I highly recommend joining to join the community. Very nice people, they always are willing to help you guys out. We even have a Discord server guild running if you're interested in joining that, which you can go inside the Discord and ask one of my mods, they'll set you up. But basically, this area of content, the dungeons, it's extremely important to farm because it'll drop these particles which you will need to rank up your characters. Ranking up basically means to go from a lower star grade to a higher star grade, right? So if you want to go from 4 to 5, 5 to 6 stars, you will need a lot of these mats. Because of this, you should pretty much never be capping on these Pookie tokens. These recharge very slowly, so you're not going to be capped anyways unless you're just not playing the game really. But you definitely don't want to cap because these resources are super annoying to get and very hard to get, and in a way time gated as well. So there's 5 bosses for the particles. There's also a gold boss that you actually will unlock after clearing. I think it's either stage 8 or stage 7 of every single one. I guess it's stage 7 because I didn't clear 8 of this. But you definitely want to get here because this dungeon will drop you a ton of gold. And gold in this game is super annoying to farm just because it costs so much gold to do anything: swapping gear, upgrading gear, fusing, upgrading pets, upgrading accessories, especially if you get to nightmares, super expensive. So you're going to be spending a lot of time in the gold dungeon as well. Basically, if you don't really have anything to upgrade in terms of units for the near future, then you can use it in the gold dungeon. At level 10, it gives you 250,000, which is a great amount. So I'll just be talking about the strategies and the characters you want to use for each one. I'm not going to show you the runs for every single dungeon because that'll be like a 30-minute video, but I'm going to show you guys, the team comps that you can run. And fortunately for us, the game does a great job of giving us the in-game guide for what to do. So if you press strategy, you can see the characters that they recommend. The mechanics at the bottom here: inflicts burn and deals great damage to targets inflicted with burn, and also takes great damage from freeze. So basically, you want to bring burn immunity so you don't take extra damage, and you want to bring something with freeze to do extra damage. So you'll see if you go to basic info, you can even click the boss, and you'll see that it has a physical attack boost, it has a burn attack, and it does additional damage, basically more than double the damage with the ultimate ability. If you have burn on AoE, there's like a burn from the magma hammer, right? So you can see that there's a lot of burning, so you want to bring burn immunity characters. So because of that, you want to bring either Ariel or Yui. I just recommend building Yui for it. She's just an amazing character like everywhere, so you can bring her. And in terms of freeze, not really necessary, but it's a good option to bring because you will do more damage, but definitely not required, right? Because it's not going to really speed up your runs, but it'll just speed up your runs. It won't really make you, have a higher win rate unless you're really struggling damage-wise. Now for the water dungeon, which is what a lot of people are struggling with, basically you just want to bring Chloe because she will have heal, heal block on this skill, Kitty Gratitude. So you want to make sure this is the #1 priority on your priority list. And then for the freeze immunity, because this boss freezes and heals every other turn, you can see that it will freeze with Respite of Tears, and then it will heal with the headbutt. You want to make sure that you bring a freeze immunity character. Now Lanya is what they recommend first. This character is pretty trash, I'm not gonna lie. The only good side about Lanya is that if you build her for water dungeon, you can also use her in the fire dungeon. But in terms of just like the better character, Feng Yan is just better because he can actually work as the damage dealer for this boss. Now of course the damage dealer isn't going to be Feng Yan for like the fastest runs, but I'll talk about the damage dealer you want to bring later on. But in general, all you really need for this is heal block and also freeze immunity. Poison is nice to speed up the run, but I found that it's not required because if you just have a certain character, which you should be going for anyways from the wish list, it'll make it very easy to clear these bosses. So next we have the Earth Dungeon. So you can see that I don't really do it at all, and it's because I don't really build any of those tanks, but I will do it eventually. All you really need is stun immunity and burn. So this one's the easiest to build for, honestly, because you have the characters for it. You just bring Evan, which is the free-to-play god, right, with Yui. He has the stun immunity built in, and then you could bring Rachel as well, who has burns built in. And the other 3 slots, it's really up to you. You could bring something like Yui, you can bring, a healer as well, you definitely want another one, and you could bring like another damage dealer. But basically, you just want to make sure you bring a stun immunity and also burns, because the boss takes extra damage from burns. Now, in terms of the light particle dungeon, this one is going to just require you to bring shock immunity, which is basically Chloe. And you're going to want to bring characters that have multiple hits. So the best one is Joker, unironically, because he has like a 7-time hit on this full house, and basically you just have to hit it multiple times on the boss to remove the stacks, and once the stacks hit 0, you will win the fight. So you're gonna see for the darkness one, this one's like the harder one to do because you have to bring a character. You're gonna 100% want to bring Leo. Also, it says that you do want debuff removal, so Lucy and Chloe are good options, although you don't really need it. It just makes you take more damage. So if you can tank through it, it's not the end of the world, but Chloe and Lucy both have debuff removal in their skill, which is very good. And the boss takes extra damage from bleed. I don't really think this matters too much because you're better off just using whatever single target DPS you have, which we'll talk about. But if you really want, Soy's pretty good. Also, Leo has bleed built in, but you know, if you want to build them on DPS, it's up to you. But for the most part, you just want to make sure you have death, immunity, and debuff removal. And then for the gold dungeon, this is basically a DPS check. If you don't kill it in time, you end up dying. You want to bring something that gives you defense reduction, as you can see, and then just a magic team. The reason why is because you're going to bring Pascal, who's like the best single target DPS right now. And he's a magic damage dealer, so you just bring stuff to buff him. So people bring Asura, which they also build for Hydra, which is great. They also bring Victoria, which they also build for Hydra, which is great because she can boost your magic damage and also do magic vulnerability. And people also bring Ariel because of the same reason. She also has this passive magic damage boost. And you can use Yuri if you want, but I just recommend Pascal. And healing isn't really too big of an issue here, so you can bring double damage dealers and do work even on 10. But that is pretty much how you want to strategize for each dungeon. Now, of course, like there's a lot of open slots on your team. So some characters you can bring in that will do very well in these open slots. The best one is going to be Biscuit. The reason why Biscuit is really good is because every single dungeon here is single target, and she buffs your boss damage by so much. So just having this on your main carry will just make you do the runs so much quicker and kill it so much faster. So Biscuit is a very, very good character to bring if you have access to her. Another good character could be Shane, because Shane does pretty good DPS with her single target as well, and she's pretty solid for that. Another good character that isn't mentioned is Lena, because Lena has a crit damage buff at T2, and because you don't really need too much healing, you never really need to prioritize her healing ability. You can just prioritize the Inspiring Melody, which will give you damage boost, which will make you do a lot more damage. And then you have the GOAT here, which is going to be a character you want anyways, and that is Pascal. Because the bosses are all single target, Pascal is super, super good here, especially if you pair him with Biscuit. The reason why is because he's just doing a ton of damage with his Titan of Calamities. You're also refreshing it and getting this damage nullification. And you can use him in pretty much every single boss here with Biscuit as well, and they'll be super, super powerful. You can also use your TO early game or whatever AoE farmer you have, but just keep in mind that their damage to one target will just be lower overall because they're hitting multiple targets, obviously. So you will want to upgrade into that single target DPS like Pascal, like I said, or even Shane. And if you're thinking, oh, I don't have them, well, you will need them eventually for raid anyway, so you will get them if you wishlist them. So you want to make sure once you get them that you slot them in because it makes it a lot easier. So I'll just show you guys, for example, like Water Particle Dungeon 10. This is one a lot of people struggle on. And this is the team comp that I run here. You can see that I have Pascal as my damage dealer. I have Biscuit as my buffer. Not required, just speeds up the runs. And then I have Chloe to apply the heal block. And I have Feng Yan to also apply the freeze immunity to my team. But you can set up the repeat battle the same way as other bosses here, like other bosses in raids and even Ruby farming. And you want to make sure you skill prioritize as well for this boss. So the number one priority is going to be this unable to recover. You definitely want to make sure you put that on the boss so it doesn't heal, otherwise you'll never kill the boss and you'll eventually die. If you have Biscuit, you can prioritize her damage buffing skill next. If not, you don't have to. And then for the Pascal, pretty much you always want to make sure you have his ultimate first, and then you want the refresh on it after so he can reset the cooldown. So like I said, this is pretty much the setup for this dungeon. For the other dungeons, it doesn't matter as much how you set it up, but the water dungeon is the most important because you pretty much need to keep this unhealable on the boss, which is why I'm showing you guys this one. So you can see my Feng Yan here, not really doing too much. He's literally just an aura with his freeze immunity. But that's how it's going to be in a lot of these particle dungeons where you're just bringing like a character or two for their passive effect and not really using their skills. But you're going to see here with my Pascal, he's going to do a lot of damage to the boss, 100k almost, which is great. And you have to keep in mind this is level 10, so if you're doing a lower level, you can do even more damage, do it quicker. My Pascal isn't even on the best build. But you're going to see that, you know, he's just doing a ton of damage, and we will eventually kill the boss. Now, I will say, for your DPS, whatever DPS you're using here, if you have access to Avenger set, which drops from Iron Devourer or Hydra, as people call it, it is going to give you the best value by far because it buffs your boss damage, and that is why my Pascal is hitting pretty hard. It's because he has Avenger set, so that just makes him hit extremely, extremely hard on bosses. And you can kind of see why Pascal is so broken here because he's just getting his ultimate back up over and over, and he's just doing a ton of damage. You can see why I said that he's like the best DPS here. He can basically do every single particle dungeon with quite ease, except the light one, because that one you just need to multi-hit it, so you want to bring like Joker, but everything else here you can see, he is an absolute beast. And we should take down the boss after one more rotation, so in about 3 skill uses. I think my Biscuit will go first here for some reason. Oh yeah, because she's prioritized. And then my Pascal will reset, and then his last ultimate should kill the boss here. I'd be very surprised if it doesn't. My team is getting quite low, and that's mostly because my damage on my Pascal is still a bit low, so I needed to kill it a little bit earlier. But you'll see that even if my Chloe dies, at this point, we will still win, right? We overkill by almost 80k, which is perfectly fine. But yeah, this is pretty much the water particle dungeon. I'm not going to show every single one because they're a lot simpler. But basically all you have to do is just make sure that, you know, you have the aura characters, the immunity characters here. And if anything has like a debuff that you need to bring, such as water, you need to bring the heal block. You want to bring it. Freeze, not as important, right? Burn is also very, very good for earth. Light, instead of the debuff that you need, you want to bring a multi-hitter. And then for dark, you need death immunity, and ideally, you want something to remove some debuffs off your team. And then gold is a straight up DPS check. You are just racing the boss, and I think it's pretty hard to do 10 without Pascal. Thank you for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.